this is going to work. My 2025 budget. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. What do people do when their budget doesn't work? Well, what do you tell people? You have to revamp your budget, Evan. Just like you teach people. You're pretty smart with money. You can figure this out. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. So, here we are in September. September. What do we have to go? A couple weeks. October, November, December. Looking at my budget. Remember, you increased it from 25,000 to 33,000. But the 33,000 is not going to cut it. Nope. You've got to learn to spend more. But the secret to navigating a budget, like you tell your subscribers, is to reverse engineer, restructure, and analyze for a few minutes to figure out what is the best strategy. Because right now, you've got money earmarked for all of your monthly bills, association, electric, dental, food, gas, fun, insurance, property tax, car insurance, cell phone. But when you look at your spreadsheet, the earmarked money is there. But at this point in mid-September, because there are 16 weeks left, so in the budget, remember 120 for food times 16. You've got 1920 left for food. Gas 15 times 16. 240. Yep. Now remember, you're now paying yourself $40 a week to the end of the year. That changed from 20 a week for the first 6 months of the year, but after you went to Ohio, you decided to bump it up. That's the beauty of a budget. You can change it as long as your in and out numbers are always the same. So what's 40 times 16? 640, and it says 640 because they all add up. You have macros built so that out for food, gas, and fun. No. Well, food, gas, and fun number 1, which is 40 per week, is 1920 plus 240 plus 640, $2,800. And then you've got, remember, the other reserve to balance to zero. Yeah. So one thing I think you share with your subscribers is that now in retirement, you spend your budget to zero. You do the same when you're working. But most of your expense is saving and investing if you're doing it right. If you want to build wealth. But now there's no savings. There's no investing. This budget is going to zero. It's going down to zero. But what you're finding is that the 33,000 just won't cut it, which is fine. So I'm not sure why I added up those other numbers, because you will spend money on food, you'll spend money on gas. But the fun one was was $640. What is the overage after paying all of your other expenses in the budget? That number, open to buy, like I like to call it, is $230. It was more, but you went to Washington, D.C. and spent $1,500. If you didn't do that, this budget would work to the end of the year, but whatever. You have to regroup and change and grow and all those good things. So if I just look at my two numbers for Fund 1 and Other, which is also fun, the number is not really good. 640 plus 230. $870, Evan, for fun for about 3.5 months is not good, I don't think, because you like to spend money now. You're in retirement. You don't have to be so frugal. And you knew going into the year that you might need to bring money in to this budget. Now, where is that money going to come from? Well, remember, in your Ally savings account, you have buckets. Buckets, buckets, buckets. Buckets, buckets, buckets. I love Ally Bank, and I'm sure other banks do this as well, but within the savings account, I have buckets. That means the money is earmarked. And what you did was you created a bucket for the money you got from your mom's inheritance. That total is $16,090.47. Approximately $62.56 of that number is going to be used for 2026. And then you're going to use your CD number 1 of $30,647 to bring you to $36,903 for 2026. However, the other $9,834 of your mom's money that you received is in a bucket to be used for bringing money into the budget if you needed to. Because in my mind, that is found money, money that my mom gifted to me. Thank you, Mom, for doing that. It can be used for whatever I want, and as I think I've mentioned before, a true emergency fund. So the question is, before I bring in some money into my budget, I need to figure out right now and analyze how much more money I think I'm going to need. Now, I can do this in 2 phases, or I can do it in 1 phase. I'll probably do it in 2. So, let me think critically about that for just a moment. Currently $870. How much more would I need to bring in? What would I feel most comfortable with? I could bump the 33,208 overall budget number to 35,000. That's a nice number. Yeah. Let me think about it for a moment. Because remember, for next year, 2026, I'm at 37,000. And I did so much this year. So 2026 is going to be a good year of spending on fun and experiences. Why not? You're retired. You're not so frugal anymore. So to bump into 35 is like nothing, right? With the thought process that you could bump into 37 if over the next 3 to 4 months you feel like spending a bunch of money. Yeah. I'm starting to like this spending thing. But I think I feel most comfortable with bringing in only enough to make it phase 1 of 35,000. What that means is I'll regroup. Let's say November comes and I want more money. I bring in another 2,000. This way I'll try to meet the 35 knowing I can go to 37. Smart. You should tell your subscribers that when they're building their budget, err on the side of the lowest, knowing that you can bring in more if necessary. So, if I'm needed, well, let's do it this way. If I decide I want to level it out to 35,000 for my budget, currently the budget is 33,208. What is that minus 35,000? The number is 1,700. 1,792 dollars. Do it on paper first. You can add it to your spreadsheet later. So 33,208 plus 1,792 is 35,000. Am I right? You are right. That means the 1,792 goes into the reserve bucket to be spent to zero, which is awesome. But you currently have 640 plus 230. So that's 870. So if I take 870 existing in the fund budget and I add in 1,792, what's 870 plus 1,792? 2662. 2662. That's a whole lot of fun, Evan. Yeah. 2662. So right now in mid-September, October, November, December, that means you can have a good holiday. You can buy gifts, all sorts of fun stuff. 2692. I'm going to divide that by 3 months because really September's almost gone. 2662 divided by 3 is on average 800, 900 a month. Pretty good. I think I feel most comfortable with doing that, which means my mom's bucket in my savings account, which is currently 9834, that is not earmarked for 2026 spending, would go from 9834 minus 1792. It'll go down to $8,042, which is good. Which is good. Which is good. Which is good. So thank you, Mom. I would still have $8,000 in a bucket to be used for anything I want. A true emergency fund. And anything that comes up that could risk meeting my 2026 budget as well, which I don't think much is going to come into play for 2026 because remember, you are spending quite a bit on fun in 2025 and you're going to spend more in 2026, and this is even without touching any of your investable assets. Within Vanguard and Fidelity, you're still using your short-term reserves. The other thing I really need to think about, not right now, but it's in my thoughts. There's a lot of buzz going on right now about the Affordable Care Act and what my healthcare costs through Marketplace will be for 2026. I think we're going to know by the end of September, is it? And then I can go to Marketplace November 1st to get my insurance, and right now I pay $0. Well, that's going to change a little bit, remember, because your income for 2025 is actually next year is that my healthcare premiums could go from 0 to 2,000 maybe. They're saying it's not going to be that people have to pay 100% of their healthcare. The Affordable Care Act is probably going to be adopted, but there might be some changes, so I can't wait to hear what those changes are. But at this point, I see that as a low risk. And since I'm going to take early Social Security in a couple years, that will give me a lot more fluidity to pay the healthcare premiums if they go away somewhat or completely. Anyway, I think this is good. I think I'm going to go ahead and execute bringing in $17.92 into my budget to bring it to $35,000, and then, as I mentioned, in November or whenever I deplete the funds, if I go crazy, what if I go on another cruise? What if I want to buy a new car? What if I want to go on a vacation in December? Yeah. You're retired, Evan. Live a little. Loosen up. You were frugal for 18 years. Stop being so frugal. Anyway, I will go ahead and execute this right away.